topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
And welcome to the Camping Show. I'm CW Getz. It is Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021. We have a 30-degree calm evening here in Illinois. I tell you what, it was a nice day, and it wasn't that cold until the wind started blowing, and then it gets chilly, but that's just typical anywhere. So, but no snow, and I'm happy about that. I know my guest is not quite so happy about that, but she'll let you know that herself. Well, tonight's episode is brought to you by Campground Views, making camping easier. By Rutabaga Paddle Sports, providing time on the water. By Camp More, the store that gets you out more. By Duluth Pack, made in the USA since 1882. And by Novacraft Canoe, connecting with nature since 1970. Tonight's episode is year 3 in our RV with my special guest, Taylor Cluster. 28-year-old Taylor Cluster and 40-year-old Scott Johnson made the decision to leave behind a typical lifestyle in Phoenix, Arizona for the exciting opportunity to become full-time travelers. Scott, an entrepreneur, and Taylor, an author, enjoy their exciting new lifestyle of being location independent, traveling across the United States in their RV. The couple has been traveling and exploring for the past 29 months, covering some 36 states and 2 Canadian provinces. In the fall of 2020, Taylor reached a huge milestone in her career by officially becoming a published author. Her first novel, the hashtag Van Life Murders, was released in September 2020. Taylor continues to draw from personal experiences during their RV journey as inspiration for her second novel as the couple head into their next adventure. And with that, welcome to the show, Taylor.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I should say welcome back to the show because you were here before and you didn't, you just said, hey, I'll do it again. You didn't have any hesitation. I like that.
No, not at all. I enjoyed it last time.
Good deal. Good deal. Hey, by the way, so you want snow out there. And of course we can, here we're like, yeah, it's fine. When it comes, it comes. Yeah.
I want it. I wanted to come back here and see the beautiful white Christmas and holidays, and it's just brown.
Yeah. Is it going to be white, or is that
No.
not going to happen? Yeah.
Not going to happen. Not in the cards for us this year, sadly.
I think we're supposed to get rain Christmas Day.
Ooh.
So it's going to, instead of a white Christmas, going to a wet Christmas.
Ooh, not quite as good.
No, not near the same. I don't mind Christmas. I don't mind snow at Christmas, but certainly not 10 feet of it. And yeah, so and not 40 below zero. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I've seen both, but well, not 10 feet of snow, but 40 below zero. Yeah, that's no fun.
No way.
So, hey, well, let me start here. For the benefit of our viewers and listeners that didn't catch your last appearance on the show in December of 2020, let's ask you this question. What was your main motivation for the drastic change in lifestyle of traveling full-time in an RV?
Well, there was nothing crazy that happened to us. I know a lot of people have stories that something wild in their lives happened, so they picked up and moved. For us, we were just both in a place where we were ready for a new career, to do some traveling. We don't have kids or anything like that, and we're still young and very able to do a bunch of stuff. And so we were like, let's hit the road. Let's live in an RV.
That's pretty cool.
We just sort of were like, yeah, maybe this sounds like a good idea. And before you knew it, we were packing up our lives and moving into an RV full time.
I wonder, okay, so step one is, hey, let's do it. We're going to decide to do it. Now, what's the second step? What's the next thing that you did?
After packing up everything, well, we did sell the house.
Yeah. Is that okay? That was number 2 then, right?
Yeah. So we packed everything up. We actually didn't even live together first. So I packed up my house, moved into his house. Then we sold his house and packed everything into storage in the RV.
Okay, and this is a little personal, but you hadn't lived together. But how long did you do that before you hit the road together?
Maybe a month.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty like, that's taking a chance.
I mean, if you're going to test your relationship, moving into a small space is the way to go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's like jump in the lake, sink or swim. Oh my God. That's really good. I don't know if I knew that. I don't know if I knew the time period there. I don't think we discussed that last show, but wow, that is putting it to a try. Well, obviously you've passed and that's great. That's excellent news. So
here we are, year 3 in the RV, so we made it.
Yeah, if you can handle that, I think that because you became engaged, and that's been a while ago. I mean, a number of months ago. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct.
I think it's safe to say that if you can surpass this test, or I think there's nothing that you couldn't get through. So that's a very good way to go. That should be a book in itself, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you move into an RV with somebody, it's going to go one way or the other. And luckily ours was the better side of things. So.
I would say quickly the other way if it's going to go that way, because that doesn't take long to figure out. Gutsy, what is it? Camper 69. Gutsy for sure. What is she? Or he's okay. Yeah, gutsy is the word. LOL. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. I'm glad I asked that question. Not to be nosy.
No, not at all.
Thank you for fielding that.
Everyone asks.
Yeah, right. So and the RV then is still your only home. You don't have any real house anywhere that you can go back to and say, hey, and that's interesting. If it didn't work out, was there a plan B in place? Because I mean, there's a lot of people RVing going, hey, we sold our house too. We don't have that. Anything plan B?
There was no plan B. So we were just really winging this. Both of us were like, I think it was good because both of us jumped into it knowing there was no plan B, but we also jumped into it not expecting anything out of it.
Yeah.
So we both kind of were like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to try it out. If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, so be it. We gave it a try. So, I mean, I think we were both right on the same page and it worked out beautifully. So we got lucky.
I think that's so cool. And we'll figure it out. If it happens, we'll figure it out.
Exactly.
I do like that. You can plan, and you can plan too much.
Yes.
And I like your style. So the RV is yours. So, okay. Is there any, and this goes along like, is there any regrets? Have you had, it's like, maybe we shouldn't have sold the home. I don't know, just in case. Any of that ever?
A little bit, mainly because when COVID hit and campgrounds, I know we talked about this last year when we spoke, and campgrounds closed down. So people like us, where the RV is our only home, we had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of us that were like, maybe we should have kept that house in Phoenix.
At least it was.
So we could have gone back somewhere. But I think in the long run, we both think we made the right choice, and we're glad with our decisions to fully move into the RV and leave our old lives behind.
I think that's pretty cool. And there's no lawn to mow, or there's no flowers to do things like yeah. I mean, you can still enjoy other people's though, but you don't have to maintain your own. I think
that's right. We just watch people mow their lawn.
I like exactly. I like that. So how has life on the road been for you in 2021 compared to that of 2020?
It's been very good. It has been a little bit different. Luckily, in 2021, things did open back up again. So we did have more options of places to go to. Mm-hmm. We did not move around as much in 2021 than we did in 2020. We've actually stayed sort of just between Colorado and Arizona, which has been nice. It's been nice to not completely go across the entire country in one day, because we've done that and it's really hard. So 2021 has been a little more calm for us. Still adventuring, but not quite as hitting as many locations as we did in 2020. Maybe because also in 2020, we were forced to keep moving to places because there wasn't availability or some things were shut down. So it's definitely been a different experience, but I wouldn't say one is better or worse than the other.
Do you miss going, like seeing, because you're always going to new places, regardless that you're between a couple different states there only. you've reduced the distance that you travel, but is there, you kind of like, gee, I do miss the different climates. I do miss seeing things in other, I don't want to say cultures, but different regions of the country.
I mean, cultures almost is a good way to put it. It is interesting traveling across the entire country and all these different states. And we all live in the same country, but from state to state, it's completely different.
It can be, yeah.
You know, from, I mean, weather, not let alone the people that live there. I mean, it's drastically different from every state. But we've enjoyed traveling around Arizona and Colorado in a different way because I grew up in Colorado and I've seen so many places that I never even knew about before. So you kind of got to see your home states in a different light.
Wow, that is kind of cool. And so these places that you had never seen, had you been through them? You just never really explored them, or had you just not even been through those places, those towns?
A lot of them I hadn't even been through.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I bet that is interesting. Like, wow, I didn't know this was here in Colorado.
Totally. I mean, you hear these cities, but I was like, oh, I've heard of it. I've seen it on the map, but I probably never would have even driven through it because why would I if I have no reason to go there? But in an RV, you can just be like, oh yeah, we want to take this exit and go to this city. Let's check it out because we can, and we have our entire house with us.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Absolutely. You know, so I wondered, are you saving any more gasoline by keeping it more sort of a smaller perimeter, if you will, of traveling? Because gas is pretty expensive right now. And did that have any, to do with that?
That did have a big impact.
I'll bet.
We got lucky, and last year gas prices dropped really low, and we were like, okay, yeah, let's gun it all the way from New Mexico to Minnesota because gas is cheap. And this year with the prices, not only have we enjoyed seeing our own states, but the gas prices are just so high that we're like, we don't want to go far and maybe take the RV as least places as possible so we can just travel in our little tow car that we have behind the RV instead of filling up the entire RV.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really we didn't discuss this before, but I'm going to ask you, do you budget differently with expenses? Do you budget differently on the road than you would, just say in a house or something like that? I mean, are there things that you go, this could happen? Of course, I know breakdowns is one of those, but is that whole budgeting thing completely different, or is it similar?
I would say it's similar, but you are budgeting for different things. I mean, things break in your house, but with an RV, when you're living in something that moves all the time and is constantly rattling, and I mean, realistically, if you've ever seen the inside of an RV, they're not made with the most durable products. I mean, it's made because they jostle around. So things break a lot. I don't think there's a single space or thing in the RV that Scott has not touched or fixed along the way.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it is something where people have to go into it knowing you're going to have to fix it either yourself or you're going to have to take it somewhere. And it's always good to make sure you have maybe a fund or something that goes towards making those fixes
for something catastrophic. Yeah. So really what you're saying is, hey, people, know that if you're planning on doing this, that you will have to do some repairs of some sort at some point, even if you buy a brand new one. Isn't that about right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Even I mean, we've met people on the road that have had brand new RVs and they say the same thing. I mean, maybe a little less and you'll have better luck finding parts to repair your RV if it's newer, but there's still going to be stuff that you're going to have to fix.
That's interesting. See, I wouldn't even have thought. I thought, hey, I got a brand new vehicle, or I've got one at the mechanics have went through it. I mean, everything is like, hey, we're in good shape, but you're putting a lot of miles and wear and tear on that.
Yes.
And that would be obviously to be expected. That is to be expected. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad you mentioned it. Donald Kelly had a question here. Donald says, and thank you for the question, by the way, what advice do you have for someone that is planning to go full-time RVing? I'm planning to do this in 2 years after selling my house and I retire. In fact, we chatted earlier this morning, Donald and I did, and I said, why don't you send that question into the show? And I said, we'll ask her directly. So, but yeah, go for that.
I would say the biggest thing which I sort of knew this going into it, but even more so once I got into that life, you're going to have to be flexible and your plans are going to change and the unexpected is going to happen. And you just have to know that you're going to have to adjust, because in an RV, things are unpredictable. You're fighting the weather more than you would if you're just living in a house and driving around the city. Finding campgrounds could be a challenge. If something breaks and you're stranded on the side of the road, you just have to know that it's not going to be perfect all the time. And you have to be flexible and make sure you know, if you're not someone who can fix something yourself, make sure you have roadside assistance or somebody that you can call, a mechanic, anything like that. So you know where you can get something fixed, where you can get help when you do need it.
Yeah, that's very good advice. And I think that whole thing is like, even when you are adventuring in a canoe or something, you always have travel. You have somebody has your travel itinerary, and they know that, hey, if somebody goes missing, I tell you something. My friend Rachel, who stopped over, we were just talking about, and there was a murder that she brought up that had happened, and I forget how long ago this. I said, ironically, my guest tonight is an author and wrote a book called the hashtag Bad Life Murders. You're like, what? I said, yeah, absolutely. I said, but anything could happen. People go missing.
Absolutely.
So that's really important to have someone to have your travel planner, your travel itinerary or whatever, just to be in contact in case, something happens. They don't hear from you. I would expect they'd go, hey, listen, get on the horn of the authorities. But yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you this, as long as you mentioned this, finding a campground. Have you ever heard of, we had another guest, Mark Kep, who was on the show here, I believe 2 weeks ago. He's got a company called Campground Views. In fact, it's one of our sponsors. Have you ever heard of that or used it? I'm just curious.
I don't think we have.
Campground Views. And so here's a little plug for you, Mark. But yeah,
We've seen so many, though. I mean, we might have come across it, but.
Yeah, it's one of those that, he has got the best thing since sliced bread in that category there. Nice. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Just thought I'd ask you about that.
Absolutely.
Well, Christmas is in 3 days. Will you be spending that Christmas in the RV then, or will you go somewhere to visit family?
We will be with family. We were with family in Arizona last year. This year, we will be in Colorado. Mm-hmm. So the RV is actually in storage right now in Arizona while we're up in Colorado with family for the holidays. It's just easier because we know we'd rather stay in a nice warm house with long showers rather than having to worry about taking the RV all the way up here. So we will be in a real sticks and bricks house.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Well, I hear as the saying, I wish you a Merry Christmas. And that is a concern when you're in, you kind of have to watch, you have to time your showers. Do you not?
Yes. Oh, I think people joke that it's the military shower because all you do is you spray down, you soap up, you turn the water off, you turn it back on when you need it, and you get in and you get out as quick as you can. You do
your business and get the hell out of there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
How long? Just tell me, how long does a shower last, and how long can you, kind of hang out in the shower?
Well, it also depends where you are, because if you're hooked up for full hookups, meaning you get water and sewer and electricity and you're attached to everything,
right?
You're basically like in a normal house where everything just runs straight through the pipes and you can take long showers. Downside is it depends how big your hot water heater is, because you'll run out of hot water.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
So that's a big part of it. Also, if we know we're going to be off the grid and we won't have water or be able to access that anytime soon, maybe like 2 weeks, we'll definitely take less showers and sort of be more cautious about our water usage.
Yeah. Because do you, and this gets a little bit, but do you wet down, do your soaping, do you turn the water off in between like we do when we're doing the camp showers, when we're tent camping, and then turn it on when you're ready to rinse? You don't just let the water run, do you?
No.
Very conservative methodology, I guess.
Yeah. Very glamorous.
Yeah, right. But you know what? But it has given everything, like anything in life, there are give and take. There are benefits, pros and cons to either. Roxy, can you put that question? I'm sorry, I was. Donald Kelly, I spent 20 years in the Army. At least you can have a hot shower. So sometimes in the military,
so long as the hot water is working. We
Yeah.
haven't had hot water heater problems. So yeah, but absolutely.
Interestingly, I was going to ask you if those water heaters were like in my home. I have a hot water or hot water on demand. It's called, so I can take an hour shower if I want to.
Oh, wonderful.
But you can't do that in an RV, can you? Those are water heaters. They have a tank, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that an option to have a hot water on demand in one of those, or no?
I don't know. I mean, maybe if you have a newer one, I don't know. I mean, they're getting fancier and fancier every year. I can't keep up with all the newer ones.
Oh, wow.
So maybe these days you can.
Maybe
We'll usually go to a campground and use their shower if we stay at a nice campground, and we hope they have hot water. Sometimes their hot water is not hot, so it's hit or miss.
Yeah. Again, the give and take thing, but I think obviously there are more benefits, pros, than there are cons. Obviously,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
So what things I'm here? What things have had the most impact with regard to traveling full time in the RV this year?
I mean, gas, I think that would probably be one of the higher things for us.
Mm-hmm.
Gas prices.
Yeah.
There are a lot more people out there too. I think with COVID happening, a lot of people decided that they were going to hit the road, move into RVs, and a lot of people did do that. So there's so many more people out there than there used to be.
Yeah.
So finding a campsite, whether in an actual campground or boondocking, which is just dry camping on public lands or national forests where they allow camping, it's been a lot harder to find a place. So that's been tough. And we have certainly changed plans when we go searching for a campsite. We'll leave on Wednesday or Thursday and try to get there because we know come Friday, spots are going to fill up through the weekend.
Yeah. Do you think there are more people even in 2021 than there were in 2020, or maybe the other way around?
I don't know. I feel like this summer we definitely had more people out there than we did see in 2020. Maybe because in 2020 people, yes, they were starting to look at RVs, but I don't know if everybody made the plunge yet to officially buy RVs.
Oh, I see.
Where I think maybe this year people officially did do that and have bought RVs. So there were more people out there. And I feel like every day I log online, there's more people talking about getting an RV or thinking about this lifestyle. So I think it's only increasing.
I took a visit, and I believe it was this summer. I believe it was the summer. Maybe that or the spring. Maybe it was the spring. But I do know it was an Airstream dealer up near Chicago, and I want to say it was closer to Naperville, Illinois. Mm-hmm. But they said there was such a back order of RVs that a lot of people were waiting, and then a lot of them decided, no, we're just going to get something that's on the lot because we want to go now. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if maybe those are some of the people that said, hey, you know what, we've waited long enough, we're going to hit the road, and maybe those that brought up the number of people actually on the road then.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that at all.
Yeah. And there was a question I was going to ask you before we went to a commercial break here now, and I forgot what it was. I know what it was. So, in fact, when we had Mark on the show with Campground Views, he had mentioned something about people who are boondocking. There's kind of getting to be a big problem with people littering and kind of doing things like that. Mm-hmm. What do you say? Digging big holes, and I don't know what that's all about. Yeah. But have you seen this, and can you validate some of this stuff being a full-time RVer like you are?
Yes, which that's one of the downsides, and it like hurts your heart to see that when you do see more trash out there. And it's so hard when you're like, okay, these people must enjoy the outdoors too, because they're out here RVing or camping, whatever it may be, but then they don't know how to respect the lands. And it's really frustrating, especially for people like us who are doing this full time. We have seen a couple places where the Forest Service has actually put signs up saying that this area will close because of people mistreating it.
That's what Mark had explained. Yeah. So that is entirely the way it is. That's
yes.
Yeah.
And it's awful. It's sad. And I've joined actually the companies started in Arizona, but we're called Wild Keepers. And I'm an ambassador for them where we go out and help pick up trash in the wild and help like spread the word. Because I think some of it may be people who didn't grow up doing this. They don't fully understand the proper ways to boondock or how to protect the lands. And, it's just educating people about it and how to do it the right way.
Yeah, I think that's super important that you brought that up. I mean, that you mentioned that because I think that's something that people should be aware of before you get, because if you don't treat, if you mistreat something, you lose it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, and then we're going to take a quick break here, but don't go away. We'll be back with more of the Camping Show on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV after these messages.
It's time to go camping. Introducing Campground View's virtual tours. You can tour the campground, see the sights, see if they are available, and click to book your perfect spot. Hit the open road and explore the amazing places found in nature. We make it easy to discover, find, and book your site so that you can go have the fun and freedom you seek. Campground View's virtual tours make it easy and simple for you to see where you are going.
A few years ago, someone asked Rutabaga's owner, Darren Bush, "Hey, how long have you guys been selling boats?" Darren replied, "We don't sell boats. We sell time on the water." Of course, that comes in all types. We help people paddle more safely with Rutabaga outdoor programs. We rent canoes, kayaks, and stand-up paddleboards. We sell and install racks to get you from home to adventure. Rutabaga's got everything you need to get you out on the water, like paddles, life jackets, dry bags, and clothing. Rutabaga Paddle Sports, on the web at rutabaga.com. Mention you saw this ad on The Camping Show.
Camp Moore in Paramus is open, and we're fully stocked with everything you need for your next outdoor adventure. Stop in for safe in-store shopping or buy online with curbside pickup. Check campmore.com for our latest hours. Camp Moore, for over 40 years, your outdoor recreation store.
Duluth Pack is handcrafted for every lifestyle, making memories since 1882. In store at 365 Canal Park Drive or online at duluthpack.com.
There's nothing like being out there. For over 50 years, we've been connecting people with nature by building classic Canadian canoe designs using the best materials available. We built a reputation on durable, dependable canoes that allow you to focus on what's important, whether that's unplugging in remote wilderness, spending quality time with your favorite people, or nailing the perfect line. Visit novacraft.com to find the perfect canoe for you and locate your nearest authorized dealer.
And we're back with our guest, Taylor Cluster, here on The Camping Show. I want to acknowledge here Mustang 774, who listens to, or actually tunes into us from the UK, says good evening and Merry Christmas to you all. I appreciate that. And then Bushman 613, good day, good day. I wanted to ask, Taylor, how much time do you usually stay at campgrounds versus boondocking? What kind of percentage do you do either?
I would probably say we boondock maybe 85% of the time.
Oh, wow.
80 to 85. We try to boondock as much as we can because it is free camping and we enjoy to be further away from neighbors compared to in campgrounds where sometimes you get people right next to you. Yeah. It's just nice to open your door in the morning in your pajamas to let the dog out and have nobody be standing right there. So
there you go. I can see that. I can see the benefit of that. I mean, have you noticed a lot of other RVers doing that too for the same reasons or what?
I would say that's probably a pretty common reason. People want to be more out there in nature, but still have their privacy. So I think a lot of people like to boondock, and more people are learning about it too. I don't think it used to be as popular as it is now. So I think a lot more people are getting out there in the forests.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, let's shift attention back to a little on the personal side of things. So how long was it ago that what month was it that you got engaged?
It was in May, on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. So I have to ask you, how did Scott propose to you? Was there any kind of, explain what happened there, how that worked?
So there's this hike in Arizona, in Sedona, Arizona, beautiful hike. We see pictures of it on Instagram all the time, but it's one of those hikes where you take the normal trail, but then there's a certain spot, by this one certain tree you have to find to exit the trail to go on this secret trail to find this secret cave. So he was like, let's go do this at sunset. It'll be beautiful. And I was like, yeah, this sounds great. Let's go. Let's do it. So we're hiking along and we can't really find the tree. And I'm like, oh man, the sun's kind of setting. Like, not a big deal. Like, we can come back another day. And he was like, no, we are finding this tree. We're going to find this cave. And usually we're on the same page. And it's like, whatever, we'll come back. And he was like, no, we have to find this. Like, we're going to go. And I was like, okay. I'm like, that's fine. We will find it.
Like, at this point. Yeah.
Yes. I was like, that's totally fine. So then we eventually go up to this cave and we find it and we're scoping it out. And we got really lucky and had the whole place to ourselves. So it made the moment even that more special.
Right.
And yeah, so we were inside the cave when he pulled the ring out and I was beyond shocked. I had no idea whatsoever. I mean, we had not discussed this, and I actually asked him if he found the ring on the trail, and it was not real because I was so shocked by the whole thing that I truly didn't think it was real.
Well, it is funny because for a minute there, I thought you were going to tell me he planted the ring in the cave, and I have to find that cave because that's where the ring is at. That's what I thought you were going to tell me. But no, that's pretty cool. And you had not discussed this at all.
No.
I mean, marriage didn't come up at all in any of your conversations, or just getting engaged at that point. I
mean, we had kind of discussed that, yes, marriage would be in our future at some point, but there was never like a
oh wow,
let's get engaged, or there was no going and looking at rings. I mean, that was just
wow.
It's like the old days, it was just, we went out there and it was all on his own. There was no me picking things out so it was awesome.
You really did get caught by surprise then. I did. Yeah, that's very romantic. I like that. Good for you, Scott. Good for you.
Yeah, I think it added a lot more to it with me not knowing. I mean, everyone's always shocked when it happens to them, but I was really shocked. So It was great.
Did you cry?
I did not. I think because I was so shocked that I was like, this isn't real life. So
Did you give him an answer right away though?
Yes. Once I actually understood what was happening.
Okay.
And that it was actually real, then I was like, yeah.
And you came out of shock. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. Now, do you know other couples who have got engaged while they've been on the road like that?
Yes, there's been a lot. We have mainly no one we've known personally, but in the virtual world on Instagram and Facebook groups we're part of, we have seen a lot of couples get engaged.
Wow.
Even
That's
married.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool. And do they do it as romantically as what Scott did?
I'm sure not quite as good. Just kidding. I bet they're all outdoorsy. I feel like.
Yeah, I'm sure they would be. Well, let me ask you here. We're going to take another commercial break, but do you have a date set for the wedding?
No.
Will you get married on the road though? I mean, is that something that you've considered, or is it no? We want to go back to the church that we. What are you thinking there?
I want to get married in Colorado because most of my family is still in Colorado.
Okay.
And I love it. And it's where I grew up. So I'm currently looking at venues. We don't have a certain date. We're just kind of going to go with whatever place has availability first.
Yeah.
And go from there. So
I had to ask you that because I'm thinking, I wonder if they'd get married on the road. Just pick a church somewhere. And it would just be just the two of you, and maybe you had cyber friends that would go, "Hey, we're going to meet you. We're nearby. Let's stop by. You'll be our best man." And
if you ask Scott, that's what he would choose. So
is that really
I'm not going to show him this because he's going to be like, "Yes, you see, CW said that."
That's great. That might be just a man's way of thinking. I don't know, but I could see that happening. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's got a bit of romance. Sort of suggests a little romantic, too. Sort of too.
Yeah. I agree.
Absolutely.
But I want everyone there.
And I don't blame you for that at all. Absolutely. Wedding special. It should be that way.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take another commercial break, but don't go away. We'll be back with more of the Camping Show on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV after these messages.
time to go camping. Introducing Campground View's virtual tours. You can tour the campground, see the sights, see if they are available, and click to book your perfect spot. Hit the open road and explore the amazing places found in nature. We make it easy to discover, find, and book your site so that you can go have the fun and freedom you seek. Campground View's virtual tours make it easy and simple for you to see where you are going.
A few years ago, someone asked Rutabaga's owner, Darren Bush, "Hey, how long have you guys been selling boats?" Darren replied, "We don't sell boats. We sell time on the water." Of course, that comes in all types. We help people paddle more safely with Rutabaga outdoor programs. We rent canoes, kayaks, and stand-up paddleboards. We sell and install racks to get you from home to adventure. Rutabaga's got everything you need to get you out on the water, like paddles, life jackets, dry bags, and clothing. Rutabaga Paddle Sports, on the web at rutabaga.com. Mention you saw this ad on The Camping Show.
Campmore in Paramus is open, and we're fully stocked with everything you need for your next outdoor adventure. Stop in for safe in-store shopping or buy online with curbside pickup. Check campmore.com.
Duluth Pack is handcrafted for every lifestyle, making memories since 1882. In store at 365 Canal Park Drive or online at duluthpack.com.
There's nothing like being out there. For over 50 years, we've been connecting people with nature by building classic Canadian canoe designs using the best materials available. We built a reputation on durable, dependable canoes that allow you to focus on what's important, whether that's unplugging in remote wilderness, spending quality time with your favorite people, or nailing the perfect line. Visit novacraft.com to find the perfect canoe for you and locate your nearest authorized dealer.
And we're back with our guest, Taylor Cluster, here on The Camping Show. And Roxy, can we have you put up Taylor's photos and we'll have her tell us a little bit about each of them? There we go.
Oh, this was in Sedona, actually, at one of our favorite campsites. We love camping out there. There's a tons of free boondocking sites. And as you can see, you can have fires when permitted. And it's, I think, one of the most beautiful spots we've stayed in.
It's a great picture, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Oh, and this is in, it's like a memory all coming back to me as I see these pictures. This was in Colorado, and this was the Ice Lake Trail. And it's probably one of the coolest hikes that we have ever done. We had the place all to ourselves. And as you can see, it was beautiful.
Yeah, that is gorgeous. My gosh.
Unreal.
There's the book.
This was way back when I first released my book. This picture, I think, was taken in Wisconsin at a campground, actually. And yeah, that was the very beginning. I think that was one of the first copies we actually ordered, which is probably why it looks like it's been a little worn, because we took pictures with that one single book everywhere. And that was a very exciting moment when that arrived. It was real. This was also in Sedona. This picture is a great way to show you just how amazing the views are there. This was one of the easier hikes that we did, but I mean, no matter which direction you look, you get the beautiful views of the red.
It's so beautiful. It almost looks fake.
Yes, right. We look like we were just planted in there.
It's just thinking, yeah, that's a pretty nice backdrop there, but no, that's the real deal. I love it.
We got lucky with those clouds too. Those are not photoshopped. Nothing is photoshopped. Those were very real.
That's important to point out. Yeah, that is so cool. That is so cool.
This is one of my office locations. When traveling on the road and writing, a big part of it was either sitting inside and writing. I like to go out and get fresh air. So this was at a campground near Austin, Texas. Yeah. That I set up my little office right outside at the little picnic table and had my blankets because it was concrete and cold. But
Yeah, that's so
I
cool
love
though.
traveling with us.
You know, who gets an office like that? You know, you say that the give and take thing, pros and cons, but you're in Chicago in a high rise office. You know, you can't do that. This
Right.
is way better than, yeah, absolutely. And fresh air. You
Oh,
know?
absolutely. Changing views. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And do we have more photos, or is that the last one? Okay, we got more. Yeah.
Oh yes, and this is when we got engaged. And actually, the picture I had from the engaged moment was just me, which is why I didn't add it, because it was so dark. We were in a cave, and I had my headlamp on, and so this is later when we were together and could announce it to our family and friends. That was in Arizona.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh, this one. Okay, this was so fun because this was during the basketball tournaments, the playoff. Look, clearly I don't watch sports, the basketball playoffs. And we were watching the Suns. We're big Suns fans. And we were staying out in the middle of Colorado near Lake George. And Scott figured out a way to get our TV to work outside. So we set up our TV outside so we can enjoy the view of the Colorado mountains, as well as having the Suns play right
That's
in front
pretty
of us.
cool that you can do that. I love that.
That's one of our like favorite memories, I think, from the road.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to watch basketball out here at our campsite.
Yes.
You know, live basketball. I love that.
Yeah, live. Let's see. Oh, this picture was at Arches National Park. As you can see, we're dressed in our winter clothes. I believe we were there in March earlier this year, so it was chilly and it snowed. But we woke up for sunrise almost every day to hit the trails, and that was the best choice. Off season, super early, we had the place to ourselves. So we got to get some pretty awesome views and incredible pictures.
And that would be cool to be out there at sunrise, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely.
Yeah.
This was actually on our Christmas card last year. Every now and then we try to get a family photo of all of us, which is very rare.
Yeah.
But we managed to find fabric at a local like Hobby Lobby on one of the places we went to. I think this was in South Carolina, maybe.
Okay.
And yeah, so we got everybody dressed up and did our little Christmas card.
I love that. That's like my favorite photo, I think, right there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's a very cool photo. Who took those pictures? Did you get like you put on a timer in the tripod?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're like going, okay, who's the third person there? I love that. But that's
with the cat and dog, there was a lot of mistakes and bloopers in those.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. It's true. I never thought about that. Yeah, you gotta. Okay, so last time you were here, it was just in the release when your first book was being released. You've got a second one that you've been writing.
Yes, I am in the process of writing my next one. It's coming along. It's been harder to write this one than it has been writing my first one. So it's taking me a bit longer.
Yeah. Now, can you give us a little, by the way, when is the target date for the release of that book, or do you have one of those yet?
I'm hoping for spring of next year, but that might be too ambitious.
Okay.
But that is the goal, is maybe spring sometime next year in 2023. Where are we?
2022. Great. You're right. No, I get that. I totally.
Living in an RV too. I never know what day it is.
And I made a mistake on my thing here, and it was like it says, because I have these for next year. I'm doing these. It said December 22nd, 2020. Go 2022. No, this is 2020. Like, what the hell did I do?
We're all lost.
Yeah, right. I think it happens about this time of year with people. How much can you tell us without giving too much away? How much can you tell us about this second book?
I can tell you that it's going to be a sequel of the first one. So a lot of the same characters, following the same line along van life and traveling and murders happening. Other than that, I can't really give you a whole lot.
Yeah, because we don't want to give too much away.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We're just about out of time, but I'm going to ask you, this is another person. Let's go back to your person. Oh, here, wait a minute. Let's do this question. Taylor, do you have a YouTube channel or Facebook site to follow you on your adventures and travels?
I sure do. We do have a YouTube channel, which you can find just on YouTube and searching Scott and Tay. And Facebook, we just have it set up as my author page, where I sort of intermix my author life and the travel lifestyle. And you can find that at facebook.com/Taylor Cluster.
Okay. And you've got Instagram as well.
We do have Instagram as well. That one we're on. I try to post daily on our Scott and Tay. I have a personal one that also does author stuff, but Scott and Tay is where you're going to find most of our RV information.
Okay, fantastic. And I just moved these two questions around, but that's okay. Here's the personal question that I wanted to ask before we let you go for this evening.
Yeah.
Any plans? Now, you guys are going to be full-time RVers, and we don't have an end date in sight. This is just, we're going to do this until something we say, hey, we want to do otherwise.
Yeah.
Are there any plans for having children and maybe raising them on the road for you too?
Yes and no. So yes, we do want children. I do not want to raise children full time on the road. But we also don't want to give up this life. So I think we would just transition into more of part-time travelers. Once you live this lifestyle, I think it's really hard to leave it. So we're probably going to still look at having a trailer or some way to go camping. But yeah, we will never give up adventuring. That's for sure.
That's very cool to hear. Yeah. And if you do it full time with kids, as I understand it, then you become the teacher, or both of you become teachers. Yeah.
Yes. We've met a lot of full-time families, and they're doing it and they love it. And that's great. I just don't think that's something I would like to do as a parent. I do want my kids to actually go to school and be with other kids their age and just be in a house, a stable house. I mean, not that it's not stable on the road, but moving around all the time, for me personally, that would be too much for me to handle. But there's a lot of people out there doing it, and I envy them for that.
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, both ways. I can see both sides of that. Absolutely. So, yeah. Well, I want to thank you, Taylor, for being my guest here on the Camping Show. It was a pleasure having you back here with us this evening.
Thank you for having me back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you have to come back again. How's that sound?
Yes, that sounds wonderful.
When that book comes out, I guarantee you I'll be in touch and I'll go, let's talk about the new book. So
yes.
Let's plan on that. Okay.
That would be awesome.
I'd like to thank our sponsors, Campground Views, Rutabaga Paddle Sports, Campmore, Duluth Pack, and Novacraft Canoe for bringing you tonight's show. Be sure to tune in for next week's episode, Campfire Cooking, Pros and Cons, with special guests Kevin Callan and Kevin Ride. Until then, thank you for tuning into the Camping Show. This is CW Getz reminding you, learn more, do more. See you next week.